Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number. My Artifact episode number 4060 60 something. I'm not really sure. Today's date is May 14. Sorry, May 24. Sorry, May 24, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at exactly 7:58 a.m. Alright, let's just jump into the question. Alright, so question is, how will you protect the moderator? Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? I wanted to build an app called My Artifact. What exactly is this application? Well, when you write the diary, you cannot able to write the diary the way that you want it to. The reason is that your writing speed is a much more slower than your thought process. Why does writing speed is slower? It's because of that we need a pen, we need a paper, we need a convenience. And because of this thing, we cannot able to print our thoughts the way that we want it to. Let me tell you one thing, we think much more faster than writing. And that's why writing has always been very constrained regarding about printing our thoughts. So instead of writing, what if we could recording like a writing a diary, or instead of recording a diary, like audio recorded diary. I call this audio recording diary, I call this artifact. The stuff that you are kind of like listening right now, this is my artifact. My artifact episode number 4000 and something. I am doing this thing for past 11 years. I am doing this thing for every single day. Writing a diary is a self-reflection process. Same as recording a diary is a self-reflection process too. Because of this process, I'm doing this thing for past 11 years. It adds so much amount of value inside of me. The person that I am today and the person that I will become tomorrow, it is all because of the artifact. The amount of value that I get from this artifact, I want to share this process, share this technicality to the people, so that people should supposed to be get the same value. But how do I supposed to be share the kind of like this technicality? Well, by building an application. Well, my application is a somewhat something like a YouTube platform. In the YouTube, you actually upload your video and other people sees your video. Same thing, you actually kind of like record your thoughts, upload your thoughts in my platform, other people listen your thoughts. Only one difference is that people will have privacy, means people will not gonna know their name or things and that. Like my real name is Saurabh Authare, but my artifact handle name would be Prozac 1943 or something else, so that I would kind of like keep my privacy hidden. Other people will not gonna know my real name and things like that. So this is my application. Before I wanted to build this application, I wanted to know all the possible consequences. Okay, possible consequences or worst possible consequences. So I went to ChatGPT. I tell my idea that this is kind of like idea that I have. I wanted to make an application. Suggest me hundreds of all the possible consequences that might gonna happen. ChatGPT suggests me hundreds of all the possible consequences. Okay, in question format. So this is one of those questions that ChatGPT kind of like suggested. The question actually in the mobile phone, but while recording I cannot able to do anything at all. So that's why I wrote the question in here. I am reading this thing book, like I'm kind of like really fucked by this book. Yeah, dude. Like this book is not like it's not ending. Like yesterday I haven't really read the book. Why? It just like basically it's this thing ki I don't want to read the book this at the moment, because it just kind of like this book is kind of like feel like so boring that when I read the book I just feel like okay. I started reading just a 10 minute, but still just 10 minutes is a kind of like feel like torture. Yeah. But this book is like basically I'm not the guy who kind of like a drop the book in between. I will gonna complete this book. Okay, I will definitely gonna complete this book. It will might gonna take me another month. Just like this much pages are still remaining. Yeah, but still I don't know. I will gonna complete this book. Alright. Okay, so basically is this thing. Okay, what exactly is this question? The question is that okay, how do I supposed to protect the moderator? Okay, what's the moderator? Moderator means like that people who kind of like listening the artifact. Okay, let me kind of like explain to you something like that. Okay, have you been breakup? I am not been breakup, so I don't know that, but I understand the context. Okay, so when you had a breakup, you are emotionally very sad. Okay, like very painful by the way, but sad. And because of this thing, you are not kind of like a like even if the joy is actually in front of you, you are not kind of like a participant in the joy. Example, like you recently went through breakup, and then your friend came and kind of like said that dude, this is a new year party, should you come? And you might gonna say no, I will not gonna come. Why? Like basically is this thing that na ki when we are in that particular situation that we are kind of like sad and things and that every kind of like a happiness moment, it doesn't feel like happy because these are kind of like external thing. Internal thing is kind of like a really sad, and we just wanted to just keep that thing. Yeah, like you just keep that thing. And this is kind of like it's a kind of like a thing that na ki like you are doing a party, and in between the party someone kind of like a somebody tell you that he like a basically like a let's watch saddest movie on the planet. Would you watch that thing? No, I'm doing party. Okay, why would I supposed to watch a kind of like a stupid sad movie? Same thing, yeah, like when you are in a sad moment, you are not wanted to kind of like get into the party and kind of like feel really happy and things and that, and because our mind takes time to kind of like something that key takes time to like a away from that particular situation. Okay, because our emotion takes time to heal. Okay, now when that thing actually happened, our mind are always wanted to consume such a sad thing. I'm kind of like a giving example as a kind of like a somebody I'm recently been through breakup. So basically I am more towards watching sad song, I am more towards watching sad movies, I am more towards watching sad something. I don't know what exactly is this thing. Okay, why? Because our minds are wanted to kind of like a simply watch those things and that because kind of like a feel like resonate. Okay, now if that particular person is a keep watching those sad movies or sad thing and that what exactly happened that he lost faith, and when he lost faith he lost confidence. When he lost confidence, it will gonna impact on his real life too. Example is this thing, the particular person been through breakup, and kind of like a somebody next morning he have to be kind of like a go into the office and kind of like a somebody do a kind of like a he have to kind of like go to the office and do kind of like a some stuff. He will not gonna do that stuff, or maybe kind of like his performance might be very low. Why? Because of that he been through that particular situation. Okay, now in that situation people are like already this very painful process. Okay, breakup is a very painful process, I am completely agree with that thing. But the problem is that na ki like people are kind of like a something utilizing this as an excuse and do something stupid shit like alcohol, or yeah, mostly alcohol and things and that. They kind of like a thing that "Okay, let's drink the alcohol, I have so much pain, let's drink the alcohol" and things and that, which is very extreme condition. Okay, now basically is this thing that if such thing happened, then people are kind of like somebody destroy their life. They wanted to destroy their life. Now artifact is a kind of like a thing that he add another kind of like a bomb into their life. Why? Because artifact is a kind of like a thing that ki people are kind of like a recording their thoughts and things and that and that. Obviously is this thing that ki there are like a millions of people who've been through breakup and they are kind of like a mention their story in the artifact. Now the particular person who just kind of like a feel like he been through breakup, he wanted to resonate, so he just kind of like a listening the artifact, the people who kind of like already had a breakup, and they kind of like explain how they kind of like a feel and things and that he was kind of like a listening those artifacts. Now what is actually happened that na he it kind of like a hit even more deeper. Okay, because of this thing na ki first at the first situation he been through breakup and he was alone. Like alone means like that na ki he has a pain, but he has to be kind of like a suffer this in silence. But in the artifact there is a hundreds of people who are kind of like a sort of been through breakup, and he is kind of like a listening them, and he's kind of like a resonating with them, and yeah, kind of like a things and kind of like a, some people might gonna say that thing ki, dude, yeah, let's just kind of like a drink alcohol in their artifact, and that particular person kind of like a do the same thing because resonate. Okay, so in that situation this is completely wrong, and also is this thing very demotivated, very less confidence, and kind of like a things and that it does affect on their real world, it does affect on their performance, it does affect on their mentality and things and that. So in that situation, how do you supposed to be kind of like a make sure your artifact is kind of like a not to use that particular purpose, or maybe kind of like something that key, how do you use your artifact to uplift the people? Yeah, that's a really good thing. Now first of all is that the people who kind of like a simply open my application, they will not gonna record artifact. Why? Because they just don't know what is actually the artifact. So at the early stages they just kind of like a listening other people thoughts. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing that I made my application, I made this artifact in a such a way like a it add value in me. Okay, like basically I ask such a question that kind of like a somebody add value in me. Okay, at the beginning when I started recording artifact now, I was asking very stupid question, or maybe something that ki like I don't know, like my life and things and that I don't really kind of like somebody record a kind of a question like right now I just kind of like ask question to myself and kind of like giving the honest answer. Early I didn't really ask question, I just kind of like said this happened, and that's it. So basically it's this thing that my artifact is a kind of like a very boring to listen, like there is nothing really kind of like stuff that we should supposed to be listen, nothing really at all. Yeah, but when I started asking question to myself, then artifact became very interesting. I started recording artifact and kind of like something feel like really better way to kind of like express myself and things like that, which feels really good for me. Okay, now let's just say is this thing, the particular person who kind of like a listening artifact, listening, he was kind of like a listening. So I am making sure that that particular person, he was okay, let's just say that particular person kind of like a click the kind of like a such an artifact that he been through breakup, and he was kind of like listening his story and very sad story and things like that what he been through and things and that particular person who's listening kind of like a resonate. Okay, now because of this sad thing which will gonna impact him, so what I'm thinking that na ki basically is this thing that ki like okay, I was actually thinking that ki how do I supposed to kind of like make sure that artifact should supposed to be utilized for right purposes, how do I supposed to do that? So I am recommending such an artifact more which add value to the people. Okay, uplifting, struggle, success, motivation, kind of like a simply how they feel, process, like kind of like a feel like that na ki such a artifact that kind of like a add value in the person life, not to such a artifact that kind of like a demotivate him or things and that. That's why I already mentioned regarding about every artifact, it's kind of like a read by the Adam, and Adam will kind of like understand that ki this is kind of like a really good artifact and kind of like a recommend more. So this is what actually happened. that ki when the people are kind of like listening artifact, the artifact is kind of like somebody on the loop, or on the not loop, on the kind of like somebody is saying that one artifact and another artifact is kind of like a simply listen. It's a kind of like a music. Okay, like if you complete the music, the next song is automatically appear. Now the basically is this thing. Let's just say, let's take an example as a YouTube music, because I also use YouTube music. So when the YouTube music, I kind of like a song, Blackpink. Blackpink is a Korean kind of like a somebody musical group. Okay, so I was kind of like listening the song Forever Young. I love this song, really good, really great. Okay, yeah. Now then after that, YouTube kind of like recommend me a same song with the same band group, like something like that. So why does YouTube kind of like recommend? Is because of that you like this particular song from this band group, so that's why YouTube kind of like recommend another song from same band group, so that you might gonna like, and I did like. Okay, yeah. So basically what is actually happened, that ki YouTube is a kind of like a doing this thing is because of that ki YouTube wants you to kind of like somebody, you are spending more time in their platform, so that they will kind of like earn revenue from the advertisement that they were kind of like showing to you. Okay, yeah. Now basically I wanted to do the same thing. Okay, I want to do the same thing, but instead of kind of like showing the kind of like a same kind of like a genre, I'm kind of like a replace such a genre that kind of add value and things like that and that. Let's just say a kind of like a somebody particular person who kind of like a somebody been through breakup. He click on the artifact, he was kind of like listening through breakup story of someone else. Then next artifact will kind of like a pop up that key, the particular person how he recover from that breakup. Okay, yeah. Not a kind of like a story about that key, like artifact will not gonna recommend a story regarding about the breakup again. No, the story kind of like a recommend that key how that particular person recover from the kind of like a recover from the kind of like a something that key trauma of kind of like a heartbroken and things and that and that and that and that. Okay, yeah. So that when that particular person tell a story that how he recovered from the breakup, that particular person kind of like a okay, yeah, like this is the way that I might gonna break, this is the way I will kind of like a somebody that he uplift myself and things and that and that. Okay, so because of this thing, that particular person will kind of like a make sure that okay, like a breakup is a part of the life, and we have to be accept this thing. I know it's a very painful process, but I have to be channelize this kind of like a somebody feeling to something else, so that I would supposed to be productive. So instead of particular person went into a drinking, he would kind of like a focus on his career goal and things and that, so that he would kind of like achieve his actual goal instead of kind of like a being alcoholic and things and that. So this is what I want. I want that key user should supposed to be utilize the artifact in that way, so that I will kind of like a protect him, uplift him, kind of like a make him kind of like a better. Okay, but still again, that key, the amount of value that you will not gonna get when you listen the artifact. No, when you listen the artifact, you might understand the other people. Okay, but the crux of the artifact, the value, the most of the value that you get from the artifact is when you record the artifact, not listen the artifact. And I wanted that people should supposed to be record the artifact more, because when they record the artifact, they actually connect with themselves a lot. And when they connect with themselves a lot, they understand what is really right for them, wrong for them, and they will kind of like making sure that they will kind of like judge them regarding about their choices and things and that. It kind of like became very easy for them to kind of like understand what is really right and wrong. And no one would kind of like understand what is really right and wrong. Only those people will understand what is really right and wrong for them. So this is I wanted to do. I wanted that this is how I kind of like protect the moderator or people who are kind of like listening the artifact and things and that. Okay, so yeah, this is I would gonna do. Okay, there is a one thing that I wanted to kind of like mention. It's completely different than the artifact. Okay, yeah, different than the kind of like something the question. Okay, so basically society always kind of like film and society are the things, like a film and society are the reflection, like a film are the reflection of society. Okay, yeah, and society is also reflection of films. They are kind of like a something mirror of each other. Okay, and basically what I'm thinking that like I am kind of like a building the artifact for the society. It will kind of like implement on the society, which will also implement in the film too, because film is a kind of like exact reflection of society. Like basically in today's world, in the film media, they have a kind of like a somebody reference of Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, and most of the world is actually somewhat something created by the social media and things like that. I was thinking that he probably is this thing that the artifact will have a kind of like a reference in the film too. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing that he, how does artifact kind of like a things, and probably in the movie they will kind of like a somebody reference as an artifact that key a kind of like a particular person random listening kind of like a someone artifact, and basically is this thing that he was not really knew who is that particular person and things like that, but at some certain moment he realized that this is that particular person, and he fall in love, and yeah, probably. Dude, will it gonna happen in the real world? Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, like basically this thing na ki I don't want to. Okay, yesterday I have a kind of like a feature means like that ki I kind of like something think about that ki I wanted to implement this feature. I'm not really sure how do I supposed to implement. Obviously at the beginning I will not. In the future I might, but I will gonna talk with my team and kind of like think about that ki do I able to be implement that. Okay, so what is at least this thing. So in old Instagram, okay, old Instagram, not today's Instagram, in old Instagram you have a kind of like a map feature. Okay, so when you click on the map, you will kind of like realize that ki the photo that you are might gonna see, that photo is actually where it came from, US, Europe, Switzerland, or whatever it is. Okay, so you can map and kind of like click on that photo and things like that and that. Same map is actually available on Snapchat. By the way, I'm not on the Snapchat, but basically is this thing that ki I kind of like heard that feature that ki in the Snapchat you could kind of like see anyone's status all around the planet. Okay, yeah, that you kind of like go into the map and kind of like click the dense cloud or cluster. You click on that, and a random kind of like a user kind of like sharing a status regarding about that, and you will kind of like think, oh, that's really good. So I was also thinking that ki probably artifact will like artifact is a kind of like a thing that na every corner of the world people are kind of like recording the artifact. So people should supposed to be kind of like a go into the map, and they will kind of like click, oh, Greenland, there is a kind of like some person who's on the Greenland kind of like talking about something, let's click on that, and they will kind of like listen their thoughts and things and that and that. But still it's not gonna possible because of that key language barrier. Okay, yeah, because every country, every person is not speaking English that much. They speak English, they understand the English, but probably this thing, most of the people, their native language is their home language. Okay, so it's a very hard for them to understand, so it's not really kind of like a possible. It is possible, I'm not really sure, I just kind of like think that probably a language barrier would be kind of like a even more kind of like a problem to me. Okay, because let me kind of like tell you. Okay, how do I supposed to be kind of like maintain the privacy if the people who are kind of like speaking the same language, let's just say a particular person who kind of like listening artifact regarding about the Marathi language, the particular person kind of like speaking Marathi, so obviously you will know that this particular person actually from the Maharashtra, and as also from the accent point of perspective, we also kind of like realize that ki, okay, this particular person might be from Vidarbha or kind of like somebody West Maharashtra. Okay, like in the Vidarbha we have kind of like accent as a Malay, Thule, and things like that. But if you went to kind of like a West Maharashtra, like a coastal Maharashtra, like a Bombay, Pune, then they have a kind of like a very clean form of Marathi language, like a Mala, Tula, and from that context we understand, okay, this particular person actually from the kind of like a West Maharashtra and things and that and that. So in that particular situation, people might figure it out that ki, okay, this particular person actually from. So how do I kind of like maintain the privacy? Well, I am thinking that na ki probably is this thing that ki like basically I will gonna say this thing. Okay, if you are kind of like listening, if you want to make your artifact kind of like a privacy as much as private, record artifact in English. Okay, because what is actually happened now, English is a kind of like a language where kind of like people just not gonna know who you are and where you are from. Why? Because of that ki English is a kind of like a thing, is a global language. And another thing is that na ki it's very hard to determine that where that English came from. Okay, from the accent point of perspective, might be you might gonna understand, okay, I'm speaking English, so I'm speaking English in a such a way that probably Indian English, okay, because Indian accent are kind of like attached with it, okay, because Indian English are kind of like a much more crystal clear, okay, yeah. But if you went to kind of like a US and Europe, they have English as a kind of like a very like a like like I don't know, their accent is a bit more different. We just understand from hearing point of perspective. But still, it's very hard to track that where you are from. Probably you just kind of like a track that ki, okay, you are probably from India, but not more than that. You might not gonna understand you are from Maharashtra and things and that and that. Okay. So if you want to kind of like maintain your privacy more or kind of like a secure your privacy more, record artifact in English. Because when you record the artifact in English, then your privacy is even more stronger. Then people will not gonna know where you are from, because I will kind of like provide you the privacy as much as it can, but people will figure it out. They will, even if they will not gonna hack, they will understand that this particular person actually from this and that, because of the context and language and accent and things and that. So yeah, I'm highly suggest you to kind of like record artifact in English, because when you record the artifact in English, then probably, and it is also really helpful for you, because when you speak English, it's higher more chances that you actually communicate much more faster. Okay, I'm not kind of like saying this thing that basically, like, I'm not promoting the language, no, definitely not. But English is became global language. Whenever you wanted to go, English is a kind of like a language that utilize everywhere. If you speak more English, then it will kind of like add value in your career point of perspective too. Okay, where you are from, like a Japanese, South Korean, or whatever it is. Okay, even if you speak English, it will kind of like open up even more good opportunity for your career, because you're speaking English. So yeah, this is kind of like a thing. So probably when you speak English, it will gonna kind of like make sure your privacy kind of like get more, as well as like how does kind of like a privacy kind of like a secure more. Well, basically, first of all, is that ki no one will gonna know where you are from, even if they will kind of like know that ki you are from India, and that's it. They will not gonna kind of like understand more than ki you are from Maharashtra or Gujarat or kind of like a Tamil Nadu or things like that. They will not gonna know. Okay, they will gonna know that ki this is the Indian context, Indian accent. So probably this particular person guy is actually from India. So this is the one advantage. Second advantage, the more people are understand English. Okay, yeah, even if they not really speak English, but more people understand English. Even if you went to kind of like a South Korea, or even if you went to Japanese, or even if you to China, they didn't really speak that much English, but they understand English. Yeah, they did understand. And India, bhai sahab, like in India, everyone speak English. Like literally everyone speak English. Not everyone, but they understand English. It's understand English. Okay, so basically this thing that na ki your artifact get more views when you speak English more, because English based people are massive in this world. So yeah, so that's why it will gonna add value. So that why am I kind of like a recording artifact in English? Because of that key, it just not only it understand the kind of like every region of the planet, every person would understand English. They will understand what I'm saying. If I'm speaking Marathi, then probably you might not watching this video, right? So this is what it is. So yeah, just a recommendation, and it's kind of like a really helpful for me to kind of like a protect your privacy, because I would kind of like somebody suggest your artifact to the different part of the planets, like a Russia or US or Canada or things like that. Even if you are from New Zealand, I will kind of like share your artifact to the Russia and things like that, because yeah, you are the same human and things like that. Because if you are speaking the English language, then still if you are going through native language, then it's very difficult for me to giving you privacy, and people will figure it out. Just advice, okay, yeah. I'm not kind of like saying this thing that promoting language or you shouldn't supposed to utilize the native language. Like I'm not kind of like a go into that thing, okay, just kind of like things, okay, yeah. Whatever, this is it. Thank you.